What's up, YouTube? This is Josh coming at you. I'm finally getting some time to do a video response to a topic that was thrown out probably a while back now, probably close to a month, but I've been tagged twice in this thing, and I needed to find some time to finally get it done. Stay tuned to see what I got for you guys. So welcome back, you guys. So I was tagged 2 different times now to do the 10 most memorable game challenge. I did my top 10 games a while back. I got tagged in a different challenge for that, but this is actually a little bit of a different challenge than that. That particular challenge was for the games that you would say that your top games, right? But this one is games that you have memories attached to, that when you look at that game, a memory pops up. So I decided, since I was tagged twice now, once by Lame Dad Retro Gamer and once by Black Ranger, I will link both of their channels in the description. Both great dudes. Kind of become pretty good friends with both of them through YouTube. Check their channels out. Their links will be in the description for both of them. But before we get to these 10 games that we have right here, I'm going to show you guys the beer that we got for this episode. For this one, we've got another local. You know I like my locals. I just like beer in general. So we have a Moth Goes Into the Podiatrist Office. Hell of a name for a beer. This is an Imperial Stout with chocolate Dracula cereal. This one is brewed by Brewery. They're out of Taneytown, Maryland. This is a 9.5% alcohol by volume. I have had it, not out of a can. I've actually had it on draft up at their brewery back when it was out a month or 2 ago. It is a tasty one. Not my favorite stout they make. They make some good ass beer and stouts, some killer stouts. But this one is a good one too. It's got a very creamy flavor to it. Go check them out if you're in the Taneytown, Maryland area. Brewery. You guys will not be disappointed. All right, so the top 10 most memorable games that I have in my collection. I'm going to start from the more modern and work my way back to the oldest stuff. No real reason, just that's the way I decided to do it. So the first game I have here is Dantes Inferno. Now, probably not one that you're going to see too many people talk about as their most memorable game. This is a actual like a God of War clone. At the time when I bought it, it was brand new. I did not know that it was a God of War clone because I still have yet to play God of War. I need to get off my butt and get around to it. But what makes this game memorable to me is that when I picked it up, my youngest daughter was around 1.5 years old or so. And I was working an oddball shift, kind of similar to the oddball shift that I'm working now, just at a different employer. And I had a lot of time where I would spend working a lot and then I would be off a lot because I work this weird rotating schedule where I'm on for a bunch of long days and then I'm off for a bunch of days in a row as well. So I was doing kind of the same thing. And in my off days, of course, I'm a dad, so I'm Mr. Mom. So I spent a lot more time with my kids at that point in time. And what makes this game memorable that attaches to that is the fact that when I was home often and the little ones were worn out and just tuckered out tired, I would finally get some quiet time and I would be able to play some games. And this was a new game at the time, and this is the one that I sunk a ton of time into. Love the game. It's got some great visuals, and it's just a fun game all around. Like I said, it's kind of like God of War if you've played the original God of War games. But if you haven't, check it out. It's a great game, and that's why it's memorable to me. So the second game I have is another one also from when my kids were little. This one came out before my youngest 2 children were born, but I have 4 children, just to let everybody know I'm a busy man, right? But my 2 oldest children were littler then when this one came out, when this system came out, and it's Wii Sports. Now, I love this game still. This is still probably one of my favorite games that is on the Wii system. There's a lot of games that I can't stand to play on the Wii because of the motion controls, but this game, which was kind of like the pack-in, right, for all of it, the demo for what the system can do with the motion controls, is fantastic. All of the sports games that are on it are fun as hell, but I remember spending a lot of time with my youngest kids and my wife, all 4 of us, playing Wii bowling and just having a great time, as a family playing the game. So this game will always hold that special place in my heart because of that reason. And I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of great memories with this game as well. So we'll move on back a little bit further to the generation before that. And we'll go back to the PlayStation 2. I've got one set of games that really just stands out to me as memorable from the PlayStation 2 era. And we'll start with them both because they're Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Now, GTA 3 was the reason that I bought a PlayStation 2. I had always been a hardcore Nintendo guy back growing up, all the way up through. I had an NES, I had a Super Nintendo, I had a N64, and I skipped the GameCube. And the reason I skipped the GameCube is because of the PlayStation 2 and Grand Theft Auto 3. When this game was advertised to come out, I knew it was a must-have. So shortly after the system launched, I went out. I was a young man working, earning my own money, had my own place at that point in time. And I went out and got a system, and I got this game right here. And my buddies would come over, and when you're young 20-somethings, what do? We were partying, drinking, doing whatever. And we would pop this thing in and have just a great time, dude. We would just take turns seeing how many stars you could pop up on the screen, how much your wanted level could go up, and then how long you could last before the police or the army or whatever would kill you. And then, of course, the follow-up, which I think is definitely, for my own personal opinion, it's the best of the original Grand Theft Auto trilogy. I only really played a little bit of San Andreas. It didn't catch on with me like these two did. I mean, I blew through these. I completed these games without a doubt. But this game right here, just awesome. Just having the awesome 80s soundtrack, the whole Scarface theme of the game. Just a lot of good memories with these two games, with the buddies and just hanging out and playing games. All right, so we'll go back one more generation for the next one. And we've got two more games. Actually, four more games, but we'll do them in a split set. So we have the all-famous WCW and WWF wrestling games that were made by THQ back on the system. Here we have Revenge and No Mercy. World Tour and WrestleMania 2000 fell in here. I think World Tour was the first game, then Revenge, then WrestleMania 2000, then No Mercy was the pinnacle of them all. But these are so memorable to me because I remember for this almost the same reasons as the GTA game. Just friends coming over. These were so easy to pick up and play. You could create your own characters and make some killer tag teams and all kinds of different matches that you could do with these. These were the best games ever made wrestling-wise, in my own opinion. Now, maybe somebody would fight me on that one, but I'll fight you on it because I think they are the best games that are ever made. Like I said, World Tour started it, then Revenge, then 2000, and then we got to No Mercy. And this one kind of just capped it off, and it just made it like everything. It took everything from the other three games that built up to it to make it that much better of a game. But the memories that I have with not only my buddies just hanging out when we were partying and playing 4-player, just Royal Rumble madness with these things, but also played a lot of these with my, at the time, my young niece and nephew. I'll call him my nephew, who's kind of like a cousin, but he was around her age too. So they would come over and we would pop it in, and the three of us would play and have a great time. So these games were so awesome for that reason, because you could just pop them in any ages and just play and have a great time with them. And unlike a lot of the newer wrestling games that I've tried, these just perfected it. Staying on the N64 though, for the same exact reason, just because of the N64 being the all-time couch co-op king, and I'll fight you on that one too. We're going to go with some shooters. GoldenEye, Quake 2, even the original Quake, I really like that one. I actually don't have that one in the current collection, but so much fun with these death matches that you could play in here. Man, we would get on here, my niece and nephew, and just frag the crap out of each other and have such a good time running around the maps and just having a good time. And who could not get down with some GoldenEye 007 with your buddies? You could put it on slappers mode or whatever, however you wanted to play it. But it was just so much fun playing the 4-player on the N64. Like I said, couch co-op king. I counted each of those as one. So we're going to move back one more generation. I have one game for this system. FZero. Super Nintendo. It's kind of a weird spot in my life growing up because I had an NES, played the tar out of it as a kid with my buddies and everything. And then, of course, the N64 was, I was a young adult at that point in time and had so much great fun with that. But the Super Nintendo kind of fell in that middle. Like, it came out right around the same time that I was, like, more into just going out, chasing girls, doing all the things that a young, like, teenage guy is going to do, right? But I did get some time with it, and this is absolutely my favorite game on the system, without a doubt. I actually have I should have pulled it out. I actually have a sealed inbox copy of this as well. Fantastic game. I just love it. I mean, what else can you say about it? You know what I mean? It was just so much fun. Like, you could hear that countdown, ding, 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 and then that music, ding, that would go along with it. You know, it just sticks in my head, and I spent countless hours just burning up time playing FZero. Going back to one of my favorite systems of all time, I got 3 games for this system that I'm going to pop up here. We'll do them like this. The first one is going to be this bad boy right here. Everyone who collects for Nintendo has this in their system or had this in their system. Everyone has played this game, probably the most famous game in the world. Sorry, PacMan. Super Mario Brothers. This is the combo pack that I had as a kid as well, with the Duck Hunt on it. The first time I ever saw this game, I remember it was kind of weird, the story that goes along with it. So my stepbrother and I were outside in our driveway, just like tossing like a tennis ball up against the wall and catching it and just messing around out in the yard, right? And this older guy, you know, like our dad's age, comes up, walking up, and he goes, "Hey guys, how are you doing?" And we're both looking at each other like, "Okay, what does this dude want?" You know what I mean?
Girls are a different species or something.
Oh, who needs them? You like popsicles?
Well, sure.
And you need to come on down to the cellar. I got a whole freezer full of popsicles. Mmm.
No thanks. I gotta get going.
Oh, don't make me beg now.
You're funny. Bye.
Get your fat ass back here.
And he's like, "I just wondered, would you guys be interested in meeting my son? He's about your same age." And we both kind of look at each other like, "Well, this is weird, but sure, you know, bring him up if you want. You know, we're not going to your house." So he brings him up, and I end up meeting a guy who went on to be my best friend for those ages back in that day. And the first time I ever saw this game, it wasn't that same day, but like a week or so later, I went down to his house, and I didn't have a Nintendo at the time. He had an NES, and he had this game. And the first time I saw it, I was like, boom. Mind blown, right? Look at the graphics on this game. It's amazing. Super Mario Brothers. Now, I got my fair share play out of the Duck Hunt too, but there's not much more you could say about it than this combo pack. Just awesome. Just both games are awesome, but Super Mario Brothers, come on. Staying on the same track as the Super Mario Brothers, though, would be the first game that I ever actually beat was Super Mario Brothers 3. Of course, a couple years later, when it came out, fantastic game. Still love it. It actually, if you watch my other video of top 10 games, it didn't make my top 10 games, surprisingly. It was very close to making it, but a lot of memories with it, just playing it. My sister and I taking time playing it to like co-op, swapping off between Mario and Luigi. But the first time I ever beat a game, of course I cheated to use the warp whistles, right? But that's why it's memorable to me. It'll always hold that special place in my heart because it's the first game I ever completed. The last game for the NES, for the Nintendo, that I'm going to throw up here was one that I just spent so much time with my buddy Chris that I was telling you the story about, was Excitebike. Now, awesome. Just awesome that you could build your own tracks. You could sit there. It kind of sucked that you couldn't like save them long term, but just the time that we spent building tracks and running through it and playing this game, it doesn't get as much love as a lot of the other Nintendo games do out there, but if you've never played it, you've got to play it. It still holds up great today. What a fantastic game. But a lot of memories of just building tracks and swapping off. I'd build a track and let him run it. He'd build tracks and let me run it. And it was just a lot of fun. A lot of good memories with it. So the final game I have for this list goes back one more generation. And I don't have a lot of nostalgia. I don't want to say love because it's a cool system, but a lot of nostalgia for the Atari 2600. But it was the first system that I actually owned. You know, my dad brought it home one day. hooked it up. I don't know why he ever got it, because my dad really wasn't a big gamer, but he brought it home, hooked it up. We had one game for the longest time, and that was this game right here, and that is Frogs and Flies for the Atari 2600. Now, Frogs and Flies, as you can see from the back, it's not a whole lot to it. You just kind of two frogs, and you're jumping back and forth across the lily pads, trying to catch the flies. But what makes this game memorable for me, first off, it was the first video game I ever played, I guess, that I can remember playing. Because it was the only one we had for the longest time, but I played the snot out of this thing. And what makes it really memorable is that I got to spend some time playing this game with people that really didn't play games, and that you know, that's what makes it special. I spent a lot of time with my Aunt Mary, who would watch my sister and I. She would babysit us playing this game a lot, and I also spent a lot of time playing this with my dad. And as I said, my dad, he wasn't a video game guy. He wasn't into that stuff. He was an outdoor guy. He liked being outdoors, like riding bikes, like fishing and hunting and all that kind of good stuff. Dad's not here anymore, but I'll always hold the memories of being able to play this game with him and do a lot of other things with him. I really miss him. But that's what I got for you guys today. I appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you listening to me blather on about some really cool games from my past. Until next time, you guys, take care of yourself. Cheers.